Welcome back to Close to Broke, everyone. My name is Kieran, and today, as you guys can see, I'm once again at the Hustler. It's becoming common, a reoccurrence if I may. The reason being, the games are always really fun here. I'm just trying to mix things up. Obviously, the last couple videos have been from here. Honestly, poker in LA, although it is amazing, a great deal of the time compared to the rest of the United States, it's kind of a little... Right now, there's a bunch of stables playing the 5-10 games here at the Commerce and the Gardens now, so I thought it'd be in my best interest to play something like this. 5-5 actually plays pretty deep here. Why not just give it a shot? There's nothing wrong with trying to book a win, so I'm gonna try to do that today. Hopefully things pan out in my favor, because you know, when we play bad we lose, and when we play okay we lose. So what if we play good? We gotta win, right? So let's attempt to do that. And if not, you know, I just want to win. Let's just win. Is that okay? You guys already know. Make sure to check out the Telegram link at the top of the description if you guys ever want to play on the Splash Squads with me. If you can't make the meetup game, the only other place you're ever going to be able to play with me is on there. Lastly, as you guys know, I've said this many a time, but in the entire month of October, I'm giving away all the funds that I make from YouTube ad revenue to someone in need. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Hopefully you guys enjoyed today's episode. Let's head into this place. Hustler Casino, let's win some money. So moving forward, we're gonna be doing something called an organized or a private game. It'll be hosted live at the Bike in their private room, which is called the Legends Room. There's no specific dates, there's no specific times. It'll vary depending on people's schedules. But the point is, it's gonna be a one table, $2, $5, $10, 3-blind game. We wanna make something that's similar to Max Payne Monday. We're just trying to put on a fun game. So if that's something that interests you, let me know. All you have to do is DM me in Instagram. Okay, as you guys can see, another 5-5 session here, but I can promise you this one gets off the rails very quickly. So buckle up for a really fun ride and get ready for this very first hand as we're starting off at 1,000 miles an hour. There's a straddle on in this hand. Early position decides to limp here. I find myself in late position with King Deuce suited. Not the best hand in the world, but it's a suited Broadway, and what can I say? I'm a sucker for the old King Deuce suited. I decided to throw out an isolation raise to $45. Only the limper makes a call, and you wouldn't believe me if I didn't record it. The flop comes ace, 10, 9, 3 spades here. Feels kind of nice to be on the right side of some variance here. With the action checked over to me, I decided to throw out a very tiny c-bet here, and our opponent does something very interesting by deciding to throw out a raise here to $110. I think doing anything besides just calling here is an absolute overplay. Overplay so much so that I think even I'm not dumb enough to do that. Turn card comes a king of diamonds. It doesn't seem like it's all that strong because our opponent decides to check here, and I think we have a pretty clear and easy check back. The river card comes a 4 of clubs, completing an absolute beautiful brick. And our opponent decides to lead out here for $175, leaving himself about $250 behind. At this point, I have a pretty easy all-in jam, which I end up doing, and our opponent goes deep into the tank before eventually deciding to ship those soldiers over to me. Let's go. I salute you, sir. Thank you very much for the chippies. They're now coming in this direction. Very first hand of this session, I play literally the very first hand, and we find ourselves a big winner. Looking to capitalize on this early inertia. Things are heading all in the right direction. Momentum is on my side, and no one's going to stop me. I mean, yeah, maybe variance stops me or playing bad, but right now, no one... At this second, no one is stopping me. At this point, we're 6-handed here. There are 2 limps when it gets to me in the small blind. I decided to throw out the old isolation raise to $45. Only the under the gun limper decides to call, and we're going off to a flop that comes 7-5. Deuce with 2 clubs here. Not a board that's going to hit me all that often, but in this specific case, I flop a gut shot, so why not throw a c-bet out there? I make a small c-bet to $35, and our opponent decides to raise to 110 bones. With the action back over to me, I think folding would be goofy. We do have 2 overs and a gutter ball, and our opponent can be full of absolute donkey juice for all I know. Either way, at this point, my chair is not vibrating, so who knows what the hell I have or what the hell my opponent has. The turn card comes with 3 of clubs, pretty much the worst card in the deck. Doesn't help me out in any way and does bring in that front door flush. We decide to check it over to our opponent. He bets 200. We have a pretty easy snap fold here. I guess it's, honestly, if I really thought about it, our opponent could have had 6-8. And we could have probably called down, but again, my chair didn't buzz, but we'll leave that to the professionals. The straddle is on in the following hand. Early position limps. Early position second player decides to limp. There's an ISO to $30 here. I'm on the button. I decide to make the call. The big blind makes a call as well, and we're going off to a flop that comes 9-6-4, all clubs. We flop ourselves an open-ended straight flush draw, redraw, because we already have a flush. With the action on the initial raiser, he decides to make it $40 to go. I think it'd be foolish not to make a raise in this specific instance. One, because I'm in position. I will have a ton of bluffs in this spot here. It's really nice to raise when you already have a flush. Not only that, we got to build the size of the pot, and we got to build the size of the pot quickly. I make it 125 to go, and unfortunately, everyone folds. Oh, no. Well, let's see if we could have hit the straight flush, and let's go for rabbit hunt. Like, play the audio of me trying to see if I can get a straight flush. Thank you. The straddle is on once again in the following hand, and we pick up pocket Kirons, pocket kings. Let's go. Lead position. $35 is the price of poker. Cutoff button and the straddle all make the call. Looks like $40 or $45 might have been a better idea, but the flop is a little dicey as it comes queen jack 10. Sure, it's not ace high, and we have an overpair and an open ender, but a ton of equity to be had there. With the action checked over to me, it feels like betting a little on the larger side makes sense. We obviously have the nut advantage here. We're going to have ace king just as often as we're going to have kings here, right? Probably, maybe not. I don't know how that works. Anyways, everyone decides to make the fold, which is bittersweet. Obviously, if anyone continues, they probably have reasonable equity in the hand. And moreover, you know what they say, it's better to take a pot down than to lose it. I don't know if anyone says that. I just said that right now. Does anybody say that? Early position player decides to limp here for $5. Next to act, isolates to 20 bucks. I find myself in late position with ace-6 of diamonds. Seems like a fine defend here from late position. Probably going to have position for most of the hand. The limper calls as well, and we're going off to a flop that's pretty reasonable as it comes ace, deuce, jack. There are two hearts out there and a club. With the action on the initial raiser, he decides to throw out a c-bet for 40 bucks. Only I decide to make the call here, and the turn card comes a deuce of diamonds. With the action checked over to me here, I think that betting here has some merit, but in-game, I think that checking here makes more sense. Our opponent can still have a better ace, ace-queen, or ace-king. I think I was just thinking, get to showdown. We have a 2 street value hand. If we can get checked again on the river, we can probably bet here comfortably. But it doesn't come to that, as the river comes at 10 of clubs, and my opponent doesn't check, and he bets $110. This is one of the few times in poker where I've run into a situation where my opponent is so obvious with his bet sizing and his mannerisms. When people talk about live tells, you hardly ever run across a live tell as obvious as this. I wish you could hear the audio from what's going on in my head, but you can't because I don't have a chip implant. You know what? I might actually. You never know what the hell's going on. But anyways, I don't want to go down a conspiracy rabbit hole. In my head, I'm thinking this guy has king queen and there's just nothing else he has. But my hand's too good to fold, so I end up calling, and of course our opponent has king queen of clubs. Unfortunate for many reasons, specifically for the fact that I put my opponent on the right hand, and here I am making a stupid call. Either way, let's move on. At this point, I haven't even been able to lick my wounds here. When the straddle is on, early position decides to limp here. The hijack makes it $45. Off of around $150 stack. With the action on me, I look down at pocket jacks here and 3-bet here to $250 or $225. The initial isolator thinks about it for quite a bit of time before eventually folding, and our opponent here from the cutoff calls off the remaining stack. Here we're going into about a $450 some odd pot, looking to hold with our pocket jacks. We're off to the races. The board comes out ace high. Doesn't look like it's great for me, but against this specific opponent, we are in fact good. We show down our pocket jacks, and the pot is shipped over in our direction. Lucky for us, although the last hand didn't go in our favor, this one does. In this following hand, I'm in the straddle here, and the button decides to raise to $60. Only I make the call, and the flop is okay as it comes 10-9 deuce with 2 hearts. By okay, I mean there's not 3 overcards to my pocket eights here. Of course, we could have 3-bet pre-flop, but against a specific player, I think it's been pretty nip and tuck. Nothing crazy or out of line at this point. He decides to c-bet for $75. At this specific point, I think it's a pretty easy fold, but in real time, I think I end up making the call here for a couple of reasons that I have written down here, most of them being the simple fact that there's 2 hearts out there. We do have pocket eights. It's hard to make a pair, and we're going off to a turn card that comes as 6 of spades. With the action checked over to my opponent, he decides to once again bet for value, it seems like, for $165. A lot of problems at this point. Alarm bells should be going off in my head, but in fact they are not. It seems like everything's smooth and easy and we're riding the wave and nothing to worry about. And I throw out a call here. Obviously in hindsight everything is a little bit clearer, but I think this is just from every angle a fold here. If my opponent is able to double barrel with the worst hand, granted, not that likely, but if he is, you just gotta tip your cap and just say good hand, tap the table, and ship the pot in his direction. Considering this player type, been fairly safe and pretty under control, and I doubt that they'd be trying to blast themselves with their own equity by c-betting and then double barreling. And we're going off to a river card with our gutter ball that doesn't come as it comes the ace. With the action checking over to my opponent, he ends up checking it through, and I snap, say your jacks or whatever are good. He ends up showing pocket queens here. What we are able to pick up now is that our opponent has an obvious bet sizing tell, it seems like, but we'll see if we can even use that to our advantage because we haven't even been able to do it so far. In this next hand, I'm barely getting my shit together. When early position makes it $20 to go, the second early position player makes the call, and I decide to 3-bet here to $140 after looking down at the old pocket jiggities. Out of nowhere, the biggest nit in Southern California, throw in the old 4-ball jam to $340. I swear to you, the Lord may strike me at this second right now, that if it was $400 or more dollars, I would have had the easiest fold in my life. But because it's barely double my stack, I'd be an absolute buffoon to throw my hand away. So after it folds to me, I end up making the call. Anyways, I think you guys can guess with where I'm going with all this recounting of the story. Our opponent obviously has pocket aces, and I obviously don't win it. But as you guys can see, tip your cap off to this guy. Nice hand. Happy you waited for your aces. Disappointed in myself for not finding a fold, but moving along. At this point, I feel like I'm living Rocky out here as a poker fantasy. I've been knocked to the ground so many times that I can't even remember. Although we did start off the session hot, we have cooled off quite a bit. So much so that I've now got the double straddle on. It's actually a blind race to 20 buckaroonies. With the action folded over to our nemesis here. He's not a nemesis, he's absolutely an absolute gentleman. But in this specific hand, he is our arch nemesis. He ends up throwing out the raise to $80. A very loose action player who finds himself in the straddle decides to make the call. And the action is now on me in the double straddle, and we looked down at a really reasonable hand for being blind. Ace-10 offsuit, I think, honestly, plays better as a squeeze than just a call. I think we want to, help ourselves out and getting our friend here on the right to just get out of the hand with whatever 2 he is holding. And moreover, I think our opponent here from the small blind is good enough and tight enough to fold a hand that's better than ours. Ace jack, ace queen, all those random holdings. I want to make it big here, and I think this is the mistake. I was considering going about 360, but we don't do that. I think 4x would have been the right play, but we make it even more than that, going about 4.5x. I make it $400 to go.
Really? You're blind over there.
That's how sick it is. Yeah.
I'm all in then.
Well, not the worst sizing in the world, but definitely not the optimal one, it feels like. Even more stupidly so when our opponent in the small blind gives us the speech and then throws it all in there. I just ran into aces again.
Yeah. See my Hollywood earlier?
I've got way too much money invested in this pot to fold at this point, so I make the call. It is at this point that my opponent does not have 400. I realize that. He has more than that. He has $1,100. Well, he obviously has a really good hand here, and we're looking to get lucky. And the flop bails us out somehow. As it comes ace jack 7, our opponent says an ace is good. I nod my head to reassure that we have it, the ace here. Turn card comes a 7, and the river comes an ace of hearts. Our opponent says he has pocket queens and shows it, and we immediately let him know that we got lucky. They're getting ace 10. Look, for a lot of different reasons, I'm happy I won the pot. It feels like we've been on the wrong side of these coolers very often. And it feels like this time we were the donkey in the hand, but we ended up getting lucky. One thing I'm very honest and open about saying is that, sure, I'm happy winning the pot here, and obviously I'm the one providing some action in this game, but there's just some level of not fulfillment for winning a hand from just getting lucky. There's something good about outplaying your opponent, making a big hero call that you don't really get, at least in cash game poker, when you just get lucky, which is what happened now. So either way, it can't be all that bad. 50 big blinds pre-flop with ace-10 offsuit as a bluff. Can't be that bad, right? It's probably that bad, but whatever. Hey, so you're like 2/3 of the way through this video, and for anyone that's made it to this point, first off, let me say thank you very much. It means a lot to me to have you guys here to support us and whatever the hell we do, and specifically in this episode, if you guys can please drop a like and leave a comment letting me know how you guys feel today, how your poker sessions have been going, and more importantly, drop the subscription as it will continue to help our channel to grow. Moving along in this very next hand, the straddle is on once again. I find myself in the cutoff with ace-4 of clubs here. I decide to raise here to $30. The button, the small blind, and the big blind all make the call. We're going off to a flop that comes jack 7-7 rainbow. With the action checking through here, looking to pick up some equity, and in fact it does, as the turn card comes at 10 of clubs. We now pick up a backdoor nut flush draw, as well as an overcard here. At this point, the small blind decides to lead out for $60. The action's now on me. Be a fool to fold this, and I think it'd be overplaying my hand a little too much so to raise here. Although, again, not horrible, but it doesn't seem like a great idea. I make the call, everyone else folds, and we're going off to a river card that is an absolute bink city. 8 of clubs. With the action checked over to me, I decide to do something a little interesting as I make a big bet here. That's not the interesting part. I need you guys to listen to this table talk because I think it's a bunch of fun. Let's tune in.
That chip is mine now. Let's go. Hold it, buddy. It's coming this way.
I do beat king queen though.
I actually cannot tell you what my hand is, I think.
No, I know. You can actually. Just heads up. But would you do it or not is up to you. But I do beat king queen. That's the only thing I beat.
So it sounds like that chip is mine. I can tell you one thing. I have one important card, like one good important card in my hand. I have like one good one.
You want to put it like this?
No, because if I show you, you could do the thing opposite of what I need you to do.
I see.
Does that make sense?
No, it doesn't.
He said, yes, and I'm trying to figure out exactly what is that doing.
If you can only beat king queen,
Yeah.
pocket sixes? Right now, I just realized there's a straight available. Right now. I didn't know that.
Oh, you didn't know?
No, I did not know that.
We're having a conversation.
What's up, man? This shoe right here?
Yeah.
If you knew that, would you have still bet?
Not this much, no. 100% not, no.
He can close down. He can.
It's my chip, let's
Tell
go!
him to close down.
As you guys can see, I did my very best to play it even keel. I'm not claiming to be the next Eric Pearson of poker live game cash talking stuff, but I think I did a reasonable job. Sure, I didn't get my opponent to do exactly what I wanted in this hand, but with a hand, as he said, that could only beat king high, I think we did an okay job here. Again, our opponent was really thinking about it with a really bad hand, so at the end of the day, not a bad idea, it feels like, to try to get some action or some extra chippies by doing some chirping, but didn't go in my favor this time around. But let me know how I did for my first time. Using the table talk is always a bunch of fun. Granted, I don't know if I'm great at it, as we're really early on into the experience of using table talk, but that was kind of fun and interesting. Finishing off the session, we have a couple more hands to go over. Sorry for the horrible camera angle, but I decided to raise here to $30, and the straddle is on in this next hand. Only the straddler makes a call, and we're going off to a flop that comes jack 4-5 rainbow. With the action on me here, I think we have an easy C bet here. I make it $40 to go, a little bit larger than half the size of the pot. Out of nowhere, our opponent decides to think that he's playing limit holdem and min clicks me to $80. All right, not a horrible situation. I decide to make the call, and we're going to have to enter a card that is an ace of spades. Not great for anyone in this hand here. I don't know what the heck my opponent can have that raises the flop that now improves with an ace here. And with the action checked over to me, I think I have a pretty happy check here and evaluate river. River card comes a 5 of spades here pairing the board. It's actually a good card as now it makes it a little less likely for our opponent to have a hand like pocket 5s here or 5-4. It's obvious that now we're going to have to chop with every other holding that contains a jack here. But with the action on our opponent, he decides to lead out for $100. I'm never folding for this sizing. I make the call. Our opponent does let me know that I am good. I show my hand, and in fact, it is good as the chips are heading over in my direction. In this following hand, I'm not all that great of giving myself roses or patting myself in the back, but let's check this next hand out. There are 2 players that limp here. The small blind, those little... I got a raise here. $35 to go. We're playing like 5-handed, I think, at this point, and I look down at a freaking monster. Pocket queens here from the big blind. It's a perfect setup here. I decided to throw out a raise here to $155. With the action back to the limper, he decides to throw in the old limp call here. Action player, as we mentioned. With the action back on our opponent here in the small blind. Looking at the fact that our opponent here from the limp call only has $20 behind, our opponent throws in the old 4-ball to $500. One thing I'm seeing very, very evident in a lot of these smaller stake games is the unbelievable, unquestionable amount of live tails that I'm able to pick up. Granted, it might be because I don't have any headphones in and I'm able to lock in with the table dynamics much easier, but some of the shit is just like impossible to miss. Our opponent here put that $500 out, effortless, seamless, $500 to go. The action's on me. What would you do? What should I do? How the hell can you ever fold pocket queens in this spot? Action player, a pretty decent small blind player, he can be doing this with anything. No, he can't. And that's the point. He just can't. He can't. Ace King maybe probably just calls. I don't. And again, specifically him. The way he put those chips out, the table talk that I'm able to pick up on. I've never been more certain of a fold in my life ever. Pre-flop ever, except for this one. Snap fold. Bang. Get out of my face. Not setting me up today, Satan. We're winning today. Make the pre-flop fold with pocket queens there. Obviously, we end up getting lucky as we're able to see the run out here. The flop comes out king high there. Our opponent shows pocket aces. There's a lot of things that I give myself very little slack for, and a lot of things that I think I do incorrectly. I find a way to call in spots that shouldn't be called, rivaling the only Robbie Lou here. But that fold pre-flop is something I'm very proud of, and something I don't think I would have been able to do a couple sessions ago. I've been all over the place in the poker game, and today was an epitome of just the 2 polar sides of where my game's at. Finding that fold pre-flop is something I'm really happy about, and squeezing with ace 10 off and calling a stack that was $1,100 when I thought it was $900 and getting lucky is another side of the polar spectrum. Either way, not to end this on a somber note, I'm freaking proud of myself. Pat myself on the back. There's nothing wrong with it. Hope you guys appreciate the fold button as it's brand newly installed for the poker series. Anyways, let's start over to me in person, see how the hell we feel after a really fun session.
Difference doesn't mean anything bad. It just means that you're special. You're one of a kind. One of a kind.
Today was fun. Fun because things went in my favor. I fucking forgot what it feels like to win. Woo! This freaking game is what you dream of. There is not a single game in California, besides the one that was going on in the live stream room. There was not a single game in Southern California that in a public casino that was better than that. We got to play shorthanded a ton towards the end of the session, which just goes massively into the favor of me. It allows me to play a little looser and not get crucified for it, so I am really happy. Good things to report. We were into the game for 1,500 and out for 29.68 exactly. Let's go, baby. That's how you play. Man, what a fun session. And then that freaking fold with queens. Are you serious? The kid folded. He folded. The pink hair, that's what it, no, I'm just kidding. Good to bring home a win. Either way, I'm under this light and I look like a ghost out here. I never have looked this pale in my life. I cannot thank you guys enough for the support. Up to this point, it's been remarkable. Thank you guys very much. It's about to be 4 in the morning. It's time for me to get home and I'm not tired at all, but the game broke. So many blessings. Hope to see you guys soon. And yeah, stay happy, stay healthy, and more importantly, guys, run good at the tables, yo. Deuces.
You're one of a kind.
One of a kind.